This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
State of the Union. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
President Trump delivered the longest State of the Union address in U.S. history last night, speaking for 1 hour and 48 minutes before a joint session of Congress. He began the speech with the following observation.
The state of our union is strong.
The president said America is richer and safer than ever before because of his economic policies and crackdown on illegal immigration.
After just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages.
Many Democrats disagreed. Dozens, in fact, boycotted the speech. Texas Democrat Al Green got ejected from the House chamber, while Minnesota's Ilhan Omar got into a shouting match with the president during that address. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger delivered the Democratic response.
The president did what he always does. He lied, he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges, so many of which he is actively making worse.
In a rare moment of bipartisanship last night, the House chamber erupted into applause when the president welcomed in the gold medal winning U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. Later, he awarded 2 medals of honor to military aviators of different generations. A helicopter pilot wounded in the recent raid to capture Nicolas Maduro and a 100-year-old Korean fighter pilot. The president's speech last night sets the table for the GOP agenda heading into the crucial midterm elections. NBC's Haley Jackson.
The president celebrated what he sees as good news on the economy, but he didn't acknowledge that many Americans don't feel good about the economy. There was no real I feel your pain moment. And Americans, make no mistake, they don't feel good. Polls consistently show that people say they're not happy with how the president has handled issues like the cost of living.
Political analyst Kelly O'Grady says the affordability issue still lingers in the minds of many.
If I put on my midterm election voter hat, especially someone in that middle to low income bracket, there wasn't enough focus on what is going to make me feel better in the short term.
But conservative commentator Cameron Kinsey disagrees. She says the president's speech should give Republicans a boost of adrenaline heading into the midterms.
Republicans are in a very strong position heading into the midterms. I mean, even a CNN poll just came out showing that 64% of the people who watched last night said that Trump's policies will move the country in a better direction.
During his address last night, President Trump announced new initiatives aimed at driving down the cost of health care, housing, and energy. We'll have more on the State of the Union address later in the broadcast. A third round of peace talks get underway tomorrow between the U.S. and Iran in Geneva, Switzerland. Fox's Trey Yingst.
Some analysts view this as a last-ditch effort at avoiding a large conflict that could begin with American strikes against Iran.
The talks come as the U.S. assembles its largest military presence in the Middle East in nearly a quarter century. Ben Rad with the Center on International Relations.
With the buildup that we've seen, no indication that the president is backing off the use of gunboat diplomacy.
The White House could launch an aerial assault on Iran at any time. Sources indicate the world's #1 sponsor of terrorism has enough enriched uranium to produce nearly a dozen atomic bombs. As the Northeast continues to dig out from that bomb cyclone over the weekend, a new batch of wintry weather overnight is complicating recovery efforts. These Bostonians have had enough of Old Man Winter.
This is the most snow I've ever seen in my life.
This just happens, so this is part of being in New England.
We had hurricane force winds. We had a huge dump of snow.
Tens of thousands in Massachusetts still don't don't have power from Sunday's nasty nor'easter. Providence, Rhode Island got a record 3 feet of snow. 3 weeks and 4 days after she disappeared, still no sign of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. Jonathan Vigliotti files this report from Tucson, Arizona.
DNA recovered from Guthrie's home may not yield a usable profile of the suspect, according to sources close to the investigation, one calling it, quote, low level. But sources say even a low level sample can be enhanced by scientific techniques in the lab, although it would take longer to achieve. The sheriff's department sent DNA from the scene to a private lab in Florida instead of handing it over to the FBI. Savannah Guthrie is now offering a family reward of up to $1 million for information leading to her mother's recovery.
Someone out there knows something that can bring her home.
A new Pew Research poll out today shows more than half of U.S. teens use AI chatbots to help them with their homework. 47% use them for entertainment purposes, 12% for emotional support or advice. 3 in 10 teens today admit to using chatbots on a daily basis. Still to come on the Noon Report, a midweek edition, meatball recall, pothole season, and Project Milo.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, tracking a cold front that'll bring flurries, even a brief squall to some areas this afternoon. Forecast details are coming up in 10.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then. In the meantime, let's check the stories making news where you live, all across New York and Pennsylvania. Pothole season is upon us, and drivers are busy dodging those road craters, which seem to be everywhere this time of year. The asphalt issues seem to pop up in late winter and early spring. Experts say potholes can cause hundreds of dollars of damage to your automobile. Buffalo Common Council member Rashid Wyatt telling WIVB,
I've hit one myself, and I know the damage that can be done, especially with maybe some older cars. That damage could be really something that is in some cases insurmountable.
Road crews plan to tackle the pitted pavement as soon as the weather can cooperate. Winter weather advisories in effect for much of the lake belts again today. A 22-year-old Niagara University student in western New York was tragically killed Tuesday morning in a weather-related car crash. Cops say the driver spun out of control in the city of Niagara Falls and hit a light pole. Speed, road conditions, and inadequate tires were all factors in that crash. A second student in the vehicle was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is facing criticism today for allowing schools to reopen yesterday following that bomb cyclone. Scott Pringle has this report.
The Teachers Union president, Michael Mulgrew, warned there would be low attendance Tuesday. Stats show 63% of New York City students showed up and 15% of teachers did not report to work.
A lot of the teachers of New York City public schools live right outside of the city.
Fifth grader Vincent says he was the only one in the classroom.
It was just me. I should have closed it. There was only a couple of people in my school. What's the point?
Staten Island Council member Frank Morano telling Gothamist it was a monumental mistake to have school, saying bus stops were not shoveled and yellow buses didn't show up.
The Warsaw, New York School District held its first board meeting last night since the school decided to cancel the remainder of the boys' junior varsity and varsity basketball seasons. Police are investigating bullying incidents involving several members of the Warsaw High School basketball program. At the New York State Capitol yesterday, 2 separate parties in 2 separate houses announced 2 separate bills with one goal in mind: to make New York more affordable. Senate Democrats and Assembly Republicans released competing bills addressing the affordability issue in the Empire State.
This is a kitchen table crisis.
No one should have to ration insulin.
Democrats unveiling a measure to make health care more affordable, while Republicans focused on the cost of energy. The GOP wants $2 billion in rebate refund checks to combat the high cost of energy. Democrats want to lower the cost cost of prescription medications. The capital city of Pennsylvania is refusing to cooperate with ICE. Harrisburg City Council passing an ordinance Tuesday that bans local police from enforcing federal immigration laws.
We see what's going on in the counties around us, and we want to make sure that we're prepared beforehand, that we're not reacting after the fact.
The ordinance prohibits the city of Harrisburg from detaining anybody because of their immigration status. It also requires ICE agents get judicial warrants before conducting raids. The measure comes as ICE seeks to expand operations in the Commonwealth. Cheektowaga, New York, also limiting its involvement with ICE. The town board last night approving a resolution that would bar local assistance with federal officers unless required by a judicial warrant. That vote followed weeks of heated public debate.
We're not talking about hamstringing our police in any way. We're talking about helping them comply with the law, preventing them from violating the law.
The ICE agents and police officers, you know what, they do have a hard job, and their job isn't always safe, but they're the ones that are carrying the weapons that have the power of the federal office behind them. We don't.
No matter what side you're on, pro or against, you're doing a disservice to everybody. Get a little courage, vote on it, and let's get this done.
They did get this done. That measure passed unanimously yesterday. Officials say the policy in Cheektowaga aligns with existing state law and police practices while affirming protections for all residents. It's called Project Milo, and it's the focus of a public meeting today in Big Flats, New York. Amazon wants to build a massive 150,000 square foot warehouse near Spare Park. That park was built to honor State Trooper Andrew Spare, who was killed in the line of duty 20 years ago. The Amazon facility would be used to sort and distribute packages for last mile delivery. Supporters say it could bring jobs and increase economic activity. Others worry about traffic congestion and quality of life concerns. The Project Milo meeting starts at 4:30 this afternoon at the Big Flats Town Hall. Bird flu continues to spread its wings in Pennsylvania. The outbreak is especially pronounced in Lancaster County. This poultry farmer is worried, to say the least.
You know, there's a wide range of emotion. From am I going to have a job tomorrow to, hey, how are we going to continue to feed people?
PA farmers met yesterday with Governor Shapiro and the state agriculture secretary, Russell Redding. Experts say avian flu is being spread by migrating wild birds. The Commonwealth's recorded more than 7 million bird flu cases so far this year, and that accounts for 80% of all bird flu cases nationwide. Nearly 9,500 pounds of meatballs sold at Aldi stores are the subject of a new nationwide recall. The supermarket chain says there are concerns that the Bremer brand frozen Italian-style meatballs might be contaminated with metal fragments. These ready-to-eat meatballs have a Best Buy date of October 30th, 2026. They were made in Western New York by a company called Rosina Food Products. So far, no injury or illness has been reported. Anyone who purchased these meatballs can return them to Aldi's for a full refund. Sports is next. It's the 2-minute drill right here on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, the Knicks were in Cleveland last night to take on the Cavs, and it did not go well for the New Yorkers. The game was close at the half with Cleveland holding a 6-point lead, but the Cavs defense stepped it up in the third quarter, only allowing the Knicks 11 points, and that kind of sealed New York's fate. 109-94 the final. Donovan Mitchell scored 23 to lead Cleveland. Jalen Brunson had 20 for the Knicks. Marvin Bagley came off the bench and scored 22 points to lead the Mavericks over the Nets in Brooklyn, 123-114. The Nets were led by Michael Porter Jr.'s 26 points, but they have now dropped 9 in a row. The 1-2 punch of Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid was too much for the Indiana Pacers. Philadelphia overwhelmed Indiana 135-114. Maxey scored 32 points. Embiid, coming back from missing 5 games, added 27. VJ Edgecombe chipped in with 23. 76ers as a team shot 58% from the field, and they outscored the Pacers by 30 points in the paint. Elsewhere, in Los Angeles, Wendell Carter Jr. scored on a putback with 6 seconds to play, and the Magic edged the Lakers 110-109. LeBron James finished with 21 points for L.A., but he missed a three-pointer at the buzzer in the loss. Other winners, the Hawks, Thunder, Hornets, Bucks, Pelicans, Celtics, and T-Wolves. Finally this, the United States gold medal winning men's hockey team were at the White House yesterday, and President Trump said he will be giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to goalie Connor Hellebuyck for his outstanding play in the goal during the gold medal game against Canada. That is a look at sports.
And he was so good that day. Thank you, Randy. And still to come on the Noon Report. State of the Union. All eyes on Iran and say it ain't snow. Kev's got your forecast right after this.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. A proposed law from the Colorado State General Assembly would, and I quote, require the statewide decriminalization of commercial sexual activity among consenting adults. The bill would repeal the state criminal offenses of prostitution, soliciting for prostitution, keeping a place of prostitution, patronizing a prostitute, and prostitute-making display. End quote. If passed, Colorado would join Nevada as the only other state to fully legalize and regulate so-called commercial sexual activity. Now, when one steps back and asks, how did we get here? Two answers are offered. The first is a demographic shift that has brought, according to Aaron Wren in City Journal, California-style blue governance. Quote, migration from California, he wrote, has helped change Colorado from a liberation-infected reddish state into a solid blue one. And now blue Colorado is starting to turn into California, end quote. But in fact, starting is just not the right word here. Colorado is already one of the most progressive states in the nation, and the real shifts came at the hands of libertarians, not Californians. After all, combined registered Republican and independent voters heavily outnumber registered Democrats in Colorado. So the real story of the state is how many voters have been wooed by promises of personal autonomy, and that somehow these promises would be delivered by an ever-expanding government. This new proposed law and the lawmakers who sponsored it are just the latest byproducts of a worldview that's been in operation for some time. After delivering to Colorado legalized weed, doctor-assisted suicide, and even magic mushrooms, we're now sold exploitation as sexual freedom. And that points to the second ingredient in the Colorado social experiment. This law is yet another attempt to reshape a culture through language. The title of the proposed law, Decriminalizing Commercial Sexual Activity Among Consenting Adults. By renaming prostitution, Colorado lawmakers are attempting to normalize seedy, unsafe, and biblically speaking, sinful behavior. It's a move that mirrors similar actions in other areas. Terms like gender-affirming care and reproductive health equity were just ways to destigmatize mutilation, often of minors, and the murder of the preborn. Policies advance principles, and principles reflect worldviews. This policy is an attempt to celebrate what is both dangerous and evil, something that Colorado lawmakers already have a reputation of doing. Back in 2022, progressives literally danced on the assembly floor after passing a law protecting abortion up to the moment of birth. And in 2023, the legislature voted against making indecent exposure to minors a Class 6 felony, out of fear that the bill would target drag shows. And the proposed prostitution law makes this startling claim, quote, like workers in other fields, sex workers deserve the opportunity to screen their clients to ensure a safe transaction. So prostitutes are like workers in other fields, and what happens is a transaction. In reality, of course, prostitution is spiritually, physically, and emotionally dangerous. It violates God's design for individuals and couples, and for a healthy, flourishing society. At the very least, Christians should pray, speak out, and act. However, unless the dangerous notion of libertarian freedom is uprooted here, Coloradans will continue to experience the fruit. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint. Today's Breakpoint was co-authored by Andrew Carrico. And for more resources or to share this commentary with others, go to colsoncenter.org/radio.
Thank you very much, John. Let's head outside next. Weatherman Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life forecast. Our call for this afternoon, variable cloudiness with a brisk breeze, and there will be a brief squall coming through with a burst of snow, graupel, and rain in some sections. Temperatures peak at about 40. That's colder tonight into tomorrow with snow flurries, little lake effect southeast of Lake Ontario. Low temps tonight dropping toward 20 and high temps tomorrow around or just over 30. Then on Friday, a deal of sunshine with high temps around or just over 40 for many.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price. Great to have you with us today, Wednesday, the 25th of February. President Trump gave the longest State of the Union speech in U.S. history last night.
A short time ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world.
For 1 hour and 48 minutes, he spoke to a joint session of Congress about the accomplishments in the first year of his second term.
Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before.
The president announced several new initiatives aimed at driving down the cost of housing, health care, and energy. Virginia's new governor, Abigail Spanberger, delivered the Democratic rebuttal, focusing on bread and butter issues.
Democrats across the country are laser focused on affordability in our nation's capital and in state capitals and communities across America.
In a rare moment of bipartisanship last night, the House chamber erupted into applause when the president welcomed in the gold medal winning U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. He awarded the team goalie, Connor Hellebuyck, the Presidential Medal of Freedom for stopping over 40 shots in that dramatic overtime win over Canada on Sunday. High-stakes talks between the U.S. and Iran get underway tomorrow in Geneva, Switzerland. It could be the last chance Tehran gets to avoid U.S. military action.
Actions speak louder than words. We have 1/3 of the U.S. Navy in the region. We have tremendous air power in the region. Our allies are all on notice. I think we're on the threshold of open conflict.
Dr. Kanta Ahmad with the Council on Foreign Relations. The Trump administration says Iran, the world's #1 sponsor of terrorism, must never be allowed to acquire a nuclear weapon. Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin is urging college kids to avoid going to Mexico this year for spring break. Many do. The senator calls it a crazy idea, though, after the recent spate of cartel violence south of the border. How'd this happen? A Dallas woman's been declared dead multiple times since 2017. For the record, she's still very much alive, and now the Social Security Administration has some splaining to do, as we hear from Mark Mayfield.
The agency has incorrectly declared 94-year-old Helen Civic dead 4 times in less than 10 years. The first and second times in 2017 and 2020 were cleared up quickly, though with no explanation. Social Security declared Miss Helen legally dead twice in 2025, most recently in December. That problem hasn't been cleared up yet, and Miss Helen and her family are paying for her insurance, prescriptions, and assisted living care. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Tennessee politicians are considering a bill that would grant unborn babies the same legal protections as those outside the womb. The measure also makes abortion a homicide with a few exceptions. Abortion remains the leading cause of death worldwide. Last year, 73 million abortions were performed on this planet. New research predicts the number of women living with cardiovascular disease will rise sharply over the next 25 years.
The current trends are startling.
High blood pressure is already super common, and it's just continuing to rise. Almost 60% of adult women will have high blood pressure by 2050.
Dr. Karen Joint Maddox, a cardiologist at Washington University in St. Louis, says more than 25% of women will have diabetes and 60% obesity, and the numbers are growing among younger women.
We're forecasting an increase in obesity among girls from about 20% to almost 32% 42%.
The numbers indicate they'll be facing chronic health issues for most of their lives.
Tammy McCormick reporting there's another study out today on artificial intelligence and teenagers.
Just over half of U.S. teens say they use AI chatbots to help them with homework, just under half for entertainment. That's according to a Pew Research poll, which found that 3 in 10 teens surveyed say they use chatbots daily, and some are turning to them for personal reasons. 16% say they've had casual conversations with chatbots. 12% have sought emotional support or advice from them. Pew notes some parents, advocates, and lawmakers are concerned about that. Overall, the survey found more teens think AI will be positive for them than negative.
Heather Bosch reporting. This is the Noon Report, a midweek edition on Family Life.
We may not have named it, but many of us have experienced anxiety over the past few years as we've negotiated tremendous change, increased division on the national and on the personal level. Welcome to Family Life's Inside Out, where we talk about how God transforms his people from the inside out. Today we'll be talking about anxiety, the ways to thrive as Jesus followers in a world that doesn't promise to become more ordered or soothing. I'm Martha Manikas Foster, and my guest is biblical counselor Catherine Weber, author of the 2025 Gospel Coalition article, How a Redeemed Imagination Frees Us from Anxiety's Power. Catherine, how would you describe what's going on in our bodies when we face what feels like nonstop changes or challenges?
So our nervous systems are essentially designed to operate in 2 modes, what we'd often hear as like fight or flight and then rest and digest. And so when we face a threat, and whether that threat is real or perceived, when we face it, in God's good design, our bodies respond automatically. Right? Internally, hormones like adrenaline and cortisol flood your system, and they act as messengers to ready your body for action. Mm-hmm. And you can think of it like a captain of a ship saying battle stations, and then in response, normal body functions get suspended to prioritize action related to whatever threat we're facing.
Aha.
The problem comes, though, in that when the nervous system stays on high alert continually, it's like, think about it when you're in your car. If you're holding the gas pedal down while the car is in park, this constant vigilance is going to burn out our bodies. I think this is where God's invitation to find refuge in him when we're afraid, to calm and quiet our souls, as Psalms 131 would describe, that these aren't invitations that are separate from our physiology. They're actually really good news, profoundly good for our bodies.
So, Catherine, you say that repurposing our imagination can become a powerful force for clarity and courage. So I think we need a definition, Catherine, of imagination, because I think a lot of us associate the word with daydreaming or childhood play. So what does it mean, and how would we reclaim or repurpose our imaginations?
Dealing with anxiety is complex. Tending your imagination is one important piece, but it may not be the whole picture. So with that said, I think you could say imagination is an ability that we have to form ideas and images that aren't right in front of us. It helps us see beyond immediate circumstances, and it lets us think creatively and problem solve. But it's never neutral, right? Like, imagination's either going to be stewarded under Christ's lordship or co-opted by the world, the flesh, and the devil. This became more visual for me when I watched Inside Out 2, and this scene where anxiety is enslaving the imagination center and just forcing this constant creation of rehearsals of worst-case scenarios.
Okay.
The reality is that our imagination is active and will work, but it'll either work for us or against us. And the real question is, who is discipling it and to what end? To put it really simply, I think imagination is to make an image in your mind.
Imagining the best or imagining better. Rooted.
Infusing truth. Yeah, rooted in truth. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Could you describe a few practical ways that we can confront anxiety with this repurposed imagination?
I'd say start with a question of like, who's holding the reins of your imagination? Because when anxiety is in the driver's seat, our imagination tends to narrow, and it's going to lock you into like only bleak outcomes. And the things that are not there are, there's no mercy, there's no grace, there's no Holy Spirit at work in and around you, right? There's no redeeming power of Jesus in play. And then I think ask the question, what are you feeding your imagination? You are what you eat applies to more than just the food we consume, because what we consume mentally and spiritually shapes us. So am I immersing myself in things like social media feeds? Am I constantly obsessing over the news? Am I watching horror movies that constantly inundating me with fearful or dark narratives? And those things are going to serve to strengthen anxiety's hold on the reins of your imagination. On the other hand, if you're nourishing your imagination with beauty and goodness through good fiction, beautiful art, stories of God's faithfulness, you begin to stoke to life kind of what you could say is like a holy offense against anxiety. A third question you could ask yourself would be, what helps me orient towards God? So you don't need to completely change your context to reclaim imagination. You might just need some new lenses to view the world around you. Anxiety thrives and imagination gets distorted in isolation. So I think setting aside time and then inviting other people in are two important ways that God is going to help break this stronghold, because he's one who breaks strongholds. Because this isn't a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing way of life as we follow Jesus. And it's not based on wishful thinking. It's actively filling our inner world with the promises and character of God. And so as we fight anxiety in a world of real threat, a redeemed imagination brings truth to life in a critical way for us day to day. And so I think this is why we tell stories. I think this is why we sing songs and paint and share testimonies, right? To help one another remember as we journey home.
Good stuff there. Christian counselor Catherine Weber for this week's edition of Inside Out with Martha Menikis Foster. It comes your way Wednesdays during the Noon Report on Family Life.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. On the midday weather map, we're looking at a cold front that'll be crossing the area this afternoon. Going to kick up the breeze and it'll produce a brief squall of snow, graupel, even rain in spots as it passes. Colder air and some marginal lake effect conditions return for tonight into tomorrow. Our call for this afternoon, variable cloudiness with a brisk breeze, and there will be a brief squall coming through with a burst of snow, graupel, and rain in some sections. Temperatures peak at about 40. That's colder tonight into tomorrow with snow flurries, little lake effect southeast of Lake Ontario. Low temps tonight dropping toward 20 and high temps tomorrow around or just over 30. Then on Friday, a good deal of sunshine with high temps around or just over 40 for many.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Finally at noon, there's a new list of the friendliest towns in New York State, and 2 from the southern tier made the list. How about that? Corning and Hammondsport. Both of them are in Steuben County. Amy Thorson owns a restaurant on Market Street in Corning. She tells WETM,
I think Corning is really an awesome city. It's so unique for a city of this size. It's got a really vibrant Main Street, and I found out since opening a business, it's got an awesome community.
Hammondsport is not too bad either. It's a quaint village on the southern end of Keuka Lake. It was cited for its family-friendly activities, museums, and wine culture. The complete list of New York's top towns in terms of overall friendliness can be found on worldatlas.com. Way to go, Hammondsport and Corning. And that's our world, the world we live in. Wednesday, February 25th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.